Shoppers and investors will wait to see whether Mr Rowe can succeed where his predecessors failed. Mark Kleinman, Sky News.
Well, joining us now is Rita Clifton. She's a global brand expert. Welcome to you indeed.
Thank
Just
you.
on this M&S question, he says he was going to go anyway. Others are saying he was pushed. What do you reckon?
Well, I guess people have been predicting him leaving for some time, so someone was bound to be right at some point or other. I mean, it was going to be quite difficult for him to stay around after quite a disappointing Christmas performance. Although, to be fair, the food performance has been excellent. I mean, if you look at some of the competitors, even Waitrose, Saintly Waitrose, for example, M&S have done very well in the super premium food market. It really is their flagship clothing, their general merchandise that has been the big problem. That's been a big nightmare for Mark Bolan for a very long time.
Well,
and plans or otherwise, one has to go. You've got to take the rap. And also the CEO symbolises all the best, or should symbolise all the best of a business and of a brand. It just hasn't been happening. Not in the same way maybe as in the past. The real question for Marks & Spencer is, where are they in their marketplaces right now?
Yeah, who is the core customer of Marks & Spencer's now? Do they know? Do we as the customers know who they're targeting?
Yeah. It's a very, very good question. I mean, that has been absolutely one of their big challenges. I mean, they are absolutely stuck in the middle. In the middle of the road, you do get run over.
Is that the problem? You're trying to please too many people?
Absolutely. And unless they used to own the high ground, I mean, that was the place to go. They always had the piece of the season as well as great basics. The problem now is got so much competition. They're not as sexy as Zara, they're not as cheap as Primark. You've got the great quality offering for the more sort of middle-aged but stylish woman in John Lewis. And also even in the online versus offline world and everything that's happening around mobile, they're neither one thing, there's a lot of physical stores, they're not so good at online, they were very, very late to get the online thing.
Yeah, and the redesign of the website was problematic as well.
Absolutely, and also they didn't own their website. They didn't own the doing of their website until really quite recently. If you just think about John Lewis, something like half of their online sales was collected in store. You've got to have a seamless experience between in-store and online, and that's been very, very late for Marks & Spencer, let alone the product itself being in the right place at the right time.
I mean, one of the things Mark Bolan, the outgoing CEO, did say was that, look, we didn't advertise our clothes over the Christmas period, which is fair enough, but when you think what Marks & Spencer's is, rather an odd decision, perhaps.
Well, it is an odd decision, although they did have presence, they did have media presence. I think one of the really interesting things is they've been very innovative in food and much less innovative in clothing and general merchandise.
The promotions around the food were incredibly creative, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you couldn't help but watch and have your mouth watering. It hasn't been the same with the clothing.
No, and also loads of retailers have got smart-looking people wearing nice clothes. You've got to think about what's your special offer, and also critically to whom.
OK, we've lost Woolworths, we've lost Dixon's. Is Marks & Spencer's going to be there in 10 or 20 years' time?
I think we're a long way from losing Marks & Spencer. They still do have a pretty special place in people's hearts, but I'm afraid there's been a slight heart transplant to John Lewis over the last few years, including being the hero at Christmas, the hero in media at Christmas and also the hero in shopping at Christmas. So there is something still special about Marks & Spencer. There are some great parts of the business, but they've got a hell of a lot of space to fill with stuff and shoppers to come in. So they've got to have a rethink about the business, they've got to sharpen their positioning, and above all, in my view, they've got to get innovation right back, both in the merchandise itself in general, in general merchandise, and also in the way that they market, the way they distribute, and the way you interact with that brand overall.
Steve Rowe, the new CEO, is an M&S lifer.
Yeah.
M&S to his core, is he the man to do all of that?
I'd say men's knitted doesn't sound very exciting.
No, but I think there's a lot to be said about having somebody who really gets the brand and the business. And Marks & Spencer, above all, it's got such a great heritage as a business. The buyers used to learn at the knees of other buyers. And what's interesting is they've had a few ins and outs of chief executives from outside, inside and so on. The last CEO who was maybe not a lifer, but who really had a background in Marks & Spencer was Stuart Rose, who really always looked comfortable in that part. So I think it's very interesting. Someone who's been at M&S for a long time, they know where all the levers are in the business, they've got their heart and soul in the business, they know how to motivate people. I think it's an interesting choice, but they've got to make sure they've got this innovation going and they've got their real competitive edge and proposition sorted out.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.